Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. First of all, shout out to Boohoo. Love the jumper. Right, I don't know why I went like that. Right, so before we even get into it, right, there's a stain on this top. I'm not going to tell you where it is. Like, see if you can see. And I've tried everything to get it out. Well, I say everything, wash up liquid. But like, I'll show you where it's like, oh, it's gone. Right, if you ever have a stain, get washing up liquid on it. Oh my gosh, it's actually gone. Up the borough, it was on this side and literally, so dab like a cloth and put like hot water on it and then put like washing up liquid on and then just rub it and then it goes. Oh my gosh, there you go. So, can I also tell you a funny story before we actually get onto the topic of today's video? So, went to Saltburn. Right, I've just washed my hair again, so if you see me touching my hair, it's because it's all cottery at the top because I flip my hair, like my head over and like I brush my hair and it goes like all cottery. It's just sticking out. So I went to Saltburn, up the borough, unreal, chips, and we're waiting in the queue. And I don't know about you, but when I'm waiting in the queue for food, I practice what I'm going to say. So like, right, I'll have 2 bags of chips, scraps, not really. I practice in my head. So it came to it and I was like, hiya, you're right. Can I get 2 portion chips with scraps on, salt and vinegar, pot of curry and a pot of Gary? Who's Gary? Gravy, I meant to say. Gravy. Oh, well, literally, I just went, everyone started laughing. I was like, oh, bloody heck, why? So yeah, that's a little funny story to start the day. So, today's video is all revolved around county lines, and I don't know if you've heard of it before, but I touched on it in my last video about the drugs, and that video got a lot of attention, mainly because people are like, why are you doing a video about drugs? Because why not? Do you know what I mean? Why shouldn't we talk about it? Yeah, but it's weird as. And what? Who cares? Are you talking about it? Are you doing a video about it? No. So if I get stick for this one, it's not even like, it's just 1, to spread awareness, 2, to tell you what it is, because I did it in tutorial. This is what gave me the idea to do the video, because I did it in tutorial and I was like, like no way that actually goes on. So I thought I'll share it with you because it's really interesting. So, a little notepad. So, county lines is, so there's a massive gang, so there's a big, drugs are everywhere, it's across a massive scale, but there's obviously like the top and it's like the crew, like the big gang. And what county lines is to prey on young children. I'd say it can go up to as young as 12 and they'll approach them, but they tend to approach the vulnerable ones. So say if you're walking down the street and you see a child with not really good shoes, or doesn't look really taken care of and a bit neglected in a way, and so they'll go up to them and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I see that your shoes, for example, your shoes are really like scruffy or whatever, like do you want some new ones, like do you want some Adidas trainers, start feeding them with all this bull essentially, giving them money, giving them what they want, and in return they do drug runs for them. So it'll start off small, it'll start off with like, oh, you run around the corner and like just drop that bag off. Obviously some kids don't know what it is. I wouldn't have a clue. Like half the drugs, I don't even know what they look like. Obviously I'm educated, I know what stuff are, but there's some drugs that I didn't even knew existed, and sometimes they're very like they're hidden. So anyway, they'll start off with small little drug runs, then it'll go to a bigger scale. So I want you to go to, like, say if they lived in London, I want you to go to Scotland on the train, like I'll pay for the train, but you need to drop this bag off, And in tutorial we watched a little video, and I think it's called Alfie. I'll put the link in, and it's about his story. And what it is he starts off small, small drug runs. Then when he's getting all this money and stuff, the big boss is like, right, you're ready for the big playing field. And he says to him, I'm going to take you to a house and you're going to take calls for me. You're going to let people in and out, and you're literally going to be me, but in this house. But this house is a drug house, so it's got drug dealers everywhere essentially in it, and it's got people who are drug abusers and they take drugs and whatever. And he literally leaves him there for 3 days. So this kid is just sat there for 3 days, completely neglected. The mum hasn't got a clue. and it's mad. Like, I'll put like a little clip in, like a little thing of it. But honestly, it's crazy. I'll put that clip in now.
There was this big guy on the sofa with a young girl, and Jay told this nervous-looking guy to get the stuff. He fetched a bag of heroin, and then slumped into a chair.
Here's a phone. Don't miss the calls. I'll be back in a few days for the money.
He told me to take the calls and sell drugs until he came back. I stood there and didn't know what to do. I sat down for a fag with my hands trembling. I was there for 3 days. I took calls on the phone and all sorts of people came to the door.
That was just a little clip of the video. If you want to watch the full parts of it all, just type in Alfie Story on YouTube. But I was just, obviously I knew what County Lines was. I've watched documentaries on it before, but after learning about it in tutorial, I didn't know it went to such like a big scale, because they prey on such young children, and like it was absolutely crazy like watching it. And the fact that they leave them in the houses for 3 days, I was like, what? It's crazy. There's also another thing called cuckooing, and what it is if you're like well known with the drug dealer, if you buy drugs off them all the time and whatever, and you're consistent with them, they'll then come in your house, turn your house into a trap house with drugs and stuff like that, but they'll give you drugs for free. So that's the agreement. If you give up your house and say, right, you can deal drugs here, whatever, I'll give you drugs for free. But it got to a point where if you lived in a vulnerable area, even if you didn't take drugs, they'd just go in as they please and take over people's houses. They often preyed on women or, you know, older people, and it was crazy watching it, because I was like, I didn't know it went on. And obviously these people are absolutely terrified, because if loads of drug dealers come in your house, you're not going to say a thing, are you? Like, you know, half the time they could have weapons, they could have anything. Like, it's frightening. So signs to spot when you think that someone's being involved in County Lines and whatever. If you know someone and they've started getting a load of money out of nowhere, they could have a job, they could have a paper round, but if you know they don't work and they're quite young, they've started getting all this money like out of nowhere. If the child goes missing, a lot, they're not in school, they're not telling the families where they're going, and I've said this before, and I think this is where people are a bit like, why are you talking about that? But on Snapchat and Instagram, there's such big platforms for drugs. Like, you see it all the time. Like, it's a massive thing. Like, I seen this one before, and it was cocaine. Like, but it was in like a block one. I thought it all came in like powder. I didn't know it came in like blocks and stuff. And it's so in your face. But with Snapchat, it's not allowed, but it's essentially like looked blind eye, because with Snapchat, the beauty of it is that whatever you put on there, it goes within like a day, whereas Instagram, it says on, well, that goes as well if you've got like an Instagram story, but Instagram, Facebook, they tend to like stay on there a lot more. But you see it everywhere, like 10 a bag and stuff like that. I don't know. But yeah, another thing, I didn't know they were called a trap house either, drugs. I know this sounds really weird, but I'd love to go see what one looks like. Like, obviously when you're walking down the street and stuff, you do tend, it's a massive thing now. You see people take drugs all the time. Like, it's such the norm. Like, it's crazy how normal it is. Like, it's just mad. Like, you can take drugs to have fun and stuff, but you've got to be so careful. Like, I'm going to Leeds Fest and stuff like that, and obviously that is a major place for drugs, because people tend to think that you need to take drugs to keep up all night. Just have a coffee. Just have a bit of caffeine. But I can sit here and say that don't do drugs. But a lot of people, you're young, you're going out, you're having a drink, and someone's like, oh, have a bit of this, have a bit of that. You're going to, because people say you only live once, whatever. I'm not saying go do it, but like, I can't sit here and say don't take drugs, and police can't sit there and say don't take drugs, because people are gonna, like, it's inevitable, like, that's why they're out there. And it's frightening though. That's why I do videos like this, is to just share awareness and just to be so careful what you're taking. Know what you're taking. Don't, if someone says take a pill, don't just take it, because you don't know what's in it. Cocaine, you don't know what's in it. Green, you don't know what's in it. You could take the wrong batch and that's it, your life's over. You've got to be ever so careful, and I said that before. But yeah, it's just mad. Like, half the stuff, like what we were talking about in tutorial, and these houses and stuff like that, it's crazy. Like, it's absolutely mad. But if I went into a trap house, I'd love to interview them. I mean, they'd be off the face, or half of them though. And that's what's scary about drugs, is because you turn into a zombie. Like, the amount of people who I see, like, walking down the street and they've like took drugs and stuff like that, and they're not them. Like, me and my friend Lucy went for a walk last night, and we seen someone on drugs, and she just seemed so out of it. And like, prostitutes as well, a lot of the time. I watched a documentary called, I really recommend it, it's so good. It's called The Red Light District, I think. No, Red Light or something, because in Leeds it's legal to prostitute yourself, but in Borough it's not. But weirdly, there's a street what has prostitutes on. Now, I didn't know this, so randomly we were driving and we just drove down this road not knowing it had like prostitutes on, and we seen them, and it's crazy. It's like we've seen about 3. I've never seen a prostitute before. I know they're not aliens, but you hear about it and you see documentaries and you see it in Leeds, you see it in Amsterdam, but you don't expect to have it in your hometown. And like, I know this is going to sound really thingy, but they looked normal. Like, majority of them had a beanie on. Like, she looked quite fashionable. Like, and I never ever, this is what I mean, you can never judge like prostitutes. You can't judge people who take drugs and whatever, because sometimes you can disagree with it, but you can never judge someone's form of life, because sometimes people are forced to go into that thing. There's other things there's a lot more facilities, a lot more help now than there was 10 years ago, and that's where, you know, there's always somewhere to go. But sometimes people feel like they don't have anywhere to go, and that's why I never judge. And I'd love to talk to them, like, I really would, just to see like what the life's like and stuff like that. And we actually witnessed, I know, a prostitute get into a car, and I was sat and I was like, oh my gosh, like, no way, like, this actually happens. We obviously drove straight past, not knowing what was going to go on inside the car. But yeah, it's mad. But I just thought I'd do a video and just sort of touch upon it, because it's a serious subject and it should be talked about more, especially when they're preying on young children. And it's like a cycle, I think. Like, being a kid, it's so important that you have a happy lifestyle. And I know whatever happens to you in your life shapes how you are, but I think from a young age, whatever happens to you really, really affects your older years. And like, we should protect that generation, because they're going to be us soon, and we should protect each other. But I just think you should always look out for signs like that, because you never know, it could be going on next door, it could be going on with someone you know, and drugs are a really, really scary thing. So I'm just saying, be careful, know what you're taking. I'm not being like a goody two shoes, like, don't take drugs. I'm just shedding awareness a bit. Sharing awareness. And yeah, just be careful and just, yeah. But I hope it's been interesting, because I didn't know about it. I didn't know about counting lines. And I hope that yous are all educated now. Yous know about counting lines. And it's I'm going to put this book down, flopping about everywhere. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. And this is the last episode of Real Talk. I will be doing more videos like this. Oh, will it be the last episode? I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've took a little lesson from it. And have a lovely day. And thank you for watching. Bye.